Jock podcast. I'm the Fitz, once again joined by my co-host and Hawk Jock creator, Ryne. What's up, man?
Oh, not much. Sounds like we have all kinds of fun things to talk about tonight.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Some, and one definitely unexpected thing that we didn't expect that would ever happen. And it came by, there was like no chatter about it. Nobody expected it. And then it just blows up, and we'll get more into that later. But yeah, I just spent if I sound a little bit kind of out of sorts, I spent the last hour trying to hunt my dog down at the dog park because he thought we were playing a game. And Fitz wanted to go
that's
home.
All right. He's a good pup, though.
Yeah, he is for the most part, but he, jeez, man, he's still
maybe a little ornery, but
yeah.
I mean, it is your dog, so
yeah. I got lucky. This
makes it.
Nice lady, she stopped and helped out and used her dog to kind of get him to come closer. And I mean, it took us, dude, I'm telling you, man, like 20, 30 minutes at least. And it just got to the point where I just started running away from him because then he'll chase me. And I got him so I was running as I had to grab him. So I'm proud of myself.
Hey, I'm just proud that you ran.
Hey, come on, man.
Sorry.
Jeez. Rough. All right. Well, like you said, we got a lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and just start off with the most surprising news of the week. The border war is back. What were your first thoughts when you saw that come across Twitter? You saw it before me. Did your mind explode? What happened?
I mean, yeah, a little bit. My mind was a little, it did explode a little bit. Okay, so I did think that the border war would come back. I really did. I've thought it for a long time, but I never thought it would come back now. I thought it would still be another several years before it ever came back. I never thought that this would be when it came back. And, I figured it would take a longer hiatus than this, but yeah, I was pretty stunned, but I love it. I'm somebody that has always wanted it to come back. I know that there are a lot of KU fans that absolutely hate the fact that we're playing Missouri. But I have so many friends that are Missouri fans that it made it fun for me. I have a lot of Missouri friends, so all of us can talk about it and BS and give each other crap, and it's not like it is. And if you don't have a lot of Missouri friends, it's very, very. There is a lot of hatred because there is so much hatred, but with having so many friends that are Missouri fans, I enjoy having that over them, beating them. And it's fun. It's fun for me. But I do hate a lot of Missouri fans. I hate 98% of them, but I don't hate my actual friends that are Missouri fans. So I like it.
I hate your friends that are Missouri fans.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely unexpected and pretty exciting to hear. And, most of the people that are upset about it are really just bitter that Missouri left for the SEC and ended the rivalry because it was them that ended it after they left. So people are really just kind of like, it still stings, because it was a big time rivalry both in football and basketball. Especially when both teams were good. It was intense, man. And it was tough to see it go. And so I understand why fans are upset, but you really should embrace it at this point because it is something that we didn't think we would see for a long time. Now it's back. There's going to be those games, those great games. Fans at each other's throats. It's going to be crazy intense. I love the setup where you have 2 in Lawrence, 2 in Columbia, and 2 at Sprint Center. Although I hate the fact we always play really bad at Sprint Center, so that kind of scares me a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a big deal, and it's pretty awesome. I guess, what do you think as far as Bill Self? And I mean, do you think that he kind of started this process, or do you think Jeff Long brought it to him and said, "Hey, what do you think?" Or do you think Jeff Long kind of forced Long and said, "Hey, man, we're going to do this, and you have to be on board"? I mean, I guess because the people think that Self didn't want this to happen.
I know that he has said that he hasn't wanted it to happen, and I'm stuck somewhere in between the fact that, you know, hey, he wants a rivalry again. You know, we try to fake the K-State rivalry, and it doesn't work. It's not. We're more their rival than they are ours. I feel like just being, you know, around KU fans during K-State games, it's not the same. It's not the same. Whenever we talk trash on K-State, it's not the same. We constantly just call them little brother, sit down, things like that. Whenever it comes to MU, when people start talking trash, you know, it's more of F you, and we hate Missouri, and we hope, we wish everything terrible on you. So I think that's a little bit that Bill Self enjoyed saying that he would never play Missouri again, because it got them so mad and so riled up. And I don't know if that was necessarily always true, that whenever he said it, sometimes I think that Bill Self might have just said it just to get people riled up. But I do not think that Jeff Long would have ever went over over Bill Self's head. I don't think that's the case. I do think that in the future and eventually I do think that Jeff Long and Bill Self will probably clash some, but I don't think that he would have ever went over his head. I think that Bill Self is probably excited to do it again. It was such a huge deal. It's such a huge deal to our fan base. It's such a huge deal to any rivalry. You can say what you want about the UNC Duke rivalry, but it doesn't compare to the KU MU rivalry. It's different. So I don't know. I just don't know. I do think that Bill Self was probably on board with it. He's probably thought about it for a while. Maybe got rid of some of the bitterness that was between the fan bases, because in 2012, the fans were so bitter towards each other. It was bad. I mean, it was bad. People were fighting all the time. I know that there's a lot of hatred, but hopefully we can appreciate now what it was. We can embrace what it is going to be, and hopefully it's still, obviously we know that it's still going to be huge. It blew up all over Facebook and Twitter, and obviously, like I said, I have a bunch of MU friends, and they're blowing up about it like they can't wait. I don't know. I think that Bill Self is on board with it, and I think that he's going to embrace it for what it is.
Yeah, I don't believe for 1 second that Jeff Long basically said, "Hey, this is going to happen, and there's nothing you can do about it." If Self didn't want it to happen, it was not going to happen. So I do think that Jeff Long came to him probably and said, "Hey, what do you think about doing this? Do you think you'd be okay with it?" And probably laid out some positives and said, "Hey, if we did it this way, we could generate some revenue or fan interest or create that rivalry that you guys once had." And I also think what helps is the whole FBI and NCAA violation crap. Because I tell you what, there's a new fire inside of Bill Self. And it probably helps that he has this new fire inside of him. And he's like, you know what? While we're fighting the NCAA, why don't we go ahead and just bring back the Mizzou rivalry and screw them too? You know, let's beat up on Mizzou while we're getting beat on by the NCAA. You know, so I think a lot of that has to do with the timing of what's going on with KU right now. And somebody brought up, I think it may have been Nick Schwert or somebody that brought up a good point that said, you know, if KU gets penalized with all this stuff, then they have a chance to shut up Mizzou fans by beating them while they're penalized. Like, how perfect would that be?
That's a good point. I did not see that. I don't know. Did he tweet that out? Is that what he did?
It was
him.
It was him or somebody else that it said, you know, interesting timing with this because it had to have been Nick Schwert because he had so many takes on this. I mean, it's like a storybook on his Twitter, and he went back and forth. He was like for it, against it, for it, against it. I mean, it was just he was all over the place. I mean, if you want to look at any point that anybody could possibly have on the border war, I'm sure he tweeted it out.
Yeah, probably. And you just said it. This is not border showdown. This is border war. Let's say what it is. I know that they said that it's the border showdown. It's not a border showdown. It's a border war. It always has been, always will be. I'll never call it a border showdown. But another thing, talking about that, since you brought up any of the allegations and things like that coming up, the next 2 years, are 2020 and 21, or 2021 and 21-22, those two are going to be season ticket holders, if you have, because the first game is going to be, though it's at Sprint Center, is going to be a KU home game. So you're going to get that in your package with it being a season ticket holder for basketball. And then the next year is going to be in Lawrence. And so that's going to be on your season tickets for basketball. So if we have any allegations or any penalties that come up in the next couple of years, you're still going to be able to get that MU game. And maybe that has something to do with it as well, because that's going to make people want to make sure they buy those season tickets, even if there's penalties that come down that we're not able to play in postseason or anything like that. Obviously, nothing's came down yet, so I hate to say too much about it, but that keeps people excited, and they get to go to that KU-MU game at Sprint Center or in Lawrence for the next 2 years just by having season tickets to KU basketball. And I think maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know if you've thought about that, or I don't even know if you've heard that part of it yet. But that could be part of it.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot to it. You know, this conversation, I'm sure people have to understand that this conversation and all this planning didn't just happen overnight. It took a lot of planning. It took a lot, to make sure both sides were happy, to figure out where the games are going to be played, all the logistics. So this isn't something that just popped up out of nowhere and Jeff Long's like, oh, hey, by the way, Bill Self, we're going to be playing Missouri again. No, there was a lot that went into this, and there's probably a lot of things that they took into account, which is some of the things you said, probably most of the things that Nick Schwert said. There's just a lot of things that went into this, and what's the best way to shut up a Mizzou fan about the whole FBI? Or they say FBI, but it's no longer FBI. FBI didn't find anything. They say that we're victims. It's the NCAA that we're up against. But they want to talk trash on that. What's the best way for KU to come back and just say, we just beat you with a roster that can't even go to the postseason? And just, imagine if we just keep beating them with a team with, like, Bill Self goes and gets, like, JUCO guys or 2- and 3-star players, and we keep beating them. What do the fans have to stand on? Nothing. Go ahead and make fun of us, but we just beat you and there's just nothing you can do about it. So, I mean, I think that plays a part, and that's what I'm excited for. I'm not excited for getting penalized. I hope we don't get punished, but I mean, I think it's kind of inevitable at this point. But it's just going to be fun that both our rivals, Little Brother and Ms. Oo, if they start talking trash, we have a chance to shut them both up just by beating them. And I can tell you, if Self is here, he will make sure he does anything in his power to beat them. I promise you.
Oh, absolutely. And the argument that I always hear with this game is that what does KU gain by this?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you think about it, okay, so this year, here are the teams that we played that are non-conference, that are non-Power 5. UNC Greensboro, Monmouth, East Tennessee State, UMKC. I think there might be one other one in there. So we are going to take out one of those games and put MU in there. MU is going to be higher ranked than any of those teams. MU, their ceiling right now is probably, from anything I've heard, is a 7 or 8 seed in the tournament. They're going to be in the tournament.
Yeah.
But obviously their floor is going to be to not make it. I don't know much about them. I don't pay that much attention. It's just what I hear on the radio. That's all I ever know about them. But these schools that we're going to have to, these other schools that are not even in a Power 5, most of them have to win their conference just to even get a bid to play in the tournament. So yeah, we gain another Power 5 team on our non-conference schedule. It does a lot for us. Now they're not going to say, oh, they played in their non-con, they played Villanova and Colorado. That which is who we play this year. And then obviously we have the Maui tournament, and who knows who we get to play in that. But we're adding another Power 5 to our non-con schedule, and there is good in that. There is going to be good in that. From everything that I hear, MU is going in the right direction with their basketball program. No, they're never going to be, I don't think they're ever going to be a team that's going to be an 1 or 2 seed in the tournament, but neither is Colorado, and we're playing them. When we played Nebraska, they weren't one either. Texas A&M, they're not either. So it's just, we have a Big East challenge. We have the SEC challenge. We have the preseason tournaments where we usually have to play 2 or 3 games. Adding MU in there is only going to be good. And I don't understand that argument that it does no good for us. It does do good for us. If we lose, then we lost. Oh well, who cares? But if we win, we have another win against a Power 5 team.
Yeah. I think it'll be a little bit more than if we lose, we lose. People really want to win this game.
Well, I mean, okay. So yes, between KU, MU on each side of the line, yes, it will be different. But whenever we are, whenever we're getting seeds to the tournament, it's not going to, if we lose to one of these other teams, that's going to be huge. If we lose to MU, a Power 5 school that gets into the conference, the tournament, it's not going to be as big a deal as if we lose to one of these other schools. Obviously, we play them all at home, but it's going to suck for us if we lose. But God, the upside is so huge if we win. If we win 5 out of these 6 games, that's massive for us, and we can tell MU fans to shove it.
Yeah. And I'm sure that after these 6 games, they're going to probably renew it and continue it as long as everything goes well and both sides are happy. And if we win all 6 games, Mizzou could back out and be like, oh, we want more money. If you're just going to beat up on us, we want more money, so who knows? But yeah, either way, it's exciting. I think JoJo's growling. Yeah, he's barking right now. That's how excited he is about the border war. He's chiming in a little bit. But either way, the border war is it's a good thing. A lot of positives. It's going to bring back that fire, that passion from both sides of fan bases. The games that we witnessed growing up with KU Missouri have just been epic, and we miss that, and I think Bill Self misses that. Most KU fans miss it. There is a pretty good number that just doesn't care. They don't want to play Missouri, but that's fine. Once we beat Missouri, I think they will get that hunger back as well, and they will learn to accept that we're going to have this rivalry. So, anyways.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think we talked about this on one of our podcasts, maybe way back. It wasn't the basketball, because they've talked about how this is going to hopefully move into other sports. But I mean, we remember how excited we were whenever we beat Missouri in what was that 08 in football, whenever reaching through that pass to Kerry Meyer at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And
you were at my house, and it was me and you and our buddy Jason, which is at a lot of our tailgates as well. And we went out and we started chanting Rock Chalk Jayhawk at the end. I mean, I wouldn't have done that if it was a K-State game. I wouldn't have done that if that was a Iowa State game or Oklahoma State game. No, and you wouldn't have been at my house to probably watch it. You wouldn't have drove from, I don't know if you were in Lawrence at the time or not, but you wouldn't have drove there just to watch that game. It's a different feeling. It's a great feeling, and I cannot wait to see it. I can't wait to see it in basketball, and then I can't wait to see it expand. Because once it gets to Arrowhead and football, I'm ready.
Absolutely, and I'm sure it'll eventually get back to football. There's just too much revenue to miss out, and I'm pretty sure that game, I may have walked into your house and there was some Backstreet Boys or NSYNC going on. I can't remember if that was the same night or not.
The chances are likely. I'm not real sure. I can't guarantee anything. My roommate at the time always had NSYNC on. I'm pretty sure it was either NSYNC or Blink 182. It really went either one, and it could have been one after the other for all I know.
Yeah, who knows? But and that was probably one of the first few times that we actually hung out, and
I think it.
Yeah, so I was like, I walk in and I'm just thinking, oh boy, this is going to be interesting.
But we watched the whole game on that not very fantastic TV because it was 2009 and we were broke-ass kids.
Yeah, but it was awesome, man. It was incredible. But yeah,
or 2008, I guess.
Yeah, more of those times ahead for sure with this rivalry. So
absolutely,
embrace it and have a good time with it. And if we win, you get a year's worth of talking trash to Mizzou fans. Can't hate on that. So,
absolutely.
But we have some other news we haven't talked about with Texas. KU going to Texas and taking them to the brink, almost winning that game. They should have won the game. We haven't got to talk about that game yet, have we? Right? I mean, Wednesday.
We have not.
Okay, yeah. For some reason, it feels like it's been decades since that game. I don't know why.
That's because we're so excited. We cannot wait for Saturday.
Yeah. It feels like it's just crawling to Saturday. So, but man,
yes.
Did you get a chance? I know you had. I think you had like a golf tournament or something. But did you get a chance to actually watch the game?
Yeah, my golf tournament was at 11 a.m. So I was back watching it. I got back to watch it. I was back by 4:30 or 5. So I was able to watch the whole thing. Yeah, it was great. Man, whenever KU went down 14, well, they went down 14-0, I think, right? Is how it started. And then it was 14-3, I believe is how I remember that going. I haven't went back to rewatch it. It was 14-3, no matter what. Man, but I really thought, oh man, here we go. This is going to be it. This isn't what I expected this week. And man, I was amped up. I was jumping all over my apartment. I hadn't been that excited for a KU football game for a while, especially on the road. It was. That was. I hope that there's more to come.
Yeah, and it's that's the scary thing is you don't know. I mean, people, can get excited about it, and we haven't seen KU football put together 2 good games in a row in a decade. So until that happens, it's hard to expect it. So Brenton Dearman is different though. This offense, obviously, he's doing something. The BC game had all his fingerprints all over it. Boston College game, and we won that game easily. Texas, I mean, we took them to as close as you could get. So obviously Brent Dearman is a huge factor in this offense. The defense obviously is a bit of a concern. Texas, they have a good offense for sure, but the defense, our run defense is just not good at all. It's a pretty big concern, and Big 12 teams are going to be looking at that, and they're going to be running the ball on us, and they're going to force us to try to stop them, which is going to open up the pass game. And our defense has a lot of work to do as we sit here more than halfway through the season. So that's kind of what I got on the defensive side from the Texas game. If we get a couple more stops on defense, or even, obviously just one, the very last drive that Texas had, then obviously we win the game. So that's definitely a bit concerning.
They marched down the field 60 yards in 10 plays in a minute 11.
That's crazy. Well,
yikes.
They also got helped out from some poor clock management on the clock operators.
Yeah, that's true, but that's whenever you're a team like Kansas, that's been kind of a bottom feeder for a while, and especially in the conference, maybe not all the way every year, but you're not going to get those benefits. Just like some of these teams that come into KU basketball and play, they're not going to get these benefits. They're not going to get these calls. And that it's going to happen. It's going to happen for a couple of years until we prove that we are worth it, and we're worth those calls, and we're worth wins. And I don't know what all happened there. I did read the article. I don't really know, but that's rough whenever they go 60 yards in a minute 11 and 10 plays. That hurts.
It does. And there was a couple points where we think we were going to stop them, and Sam Ehlinger, I for some reason I just cannot stand him. He just looks like a big dumb baby.
I don't like his face.
Yeah, something with his face. Like if he took his face off and like put on a different face, I might be okay. It depends on that face that he put on. But I cannot stand just looking at his face. Tom Herman, he's a dirt bag. Same thing with his face. Like his face just, I don't know. Some of those two.
I don't like him.
Yeah.
I've never liked him.
And that's why, man, this win would have been so sweet. And you just knew, though, when KU got that 2-point conversion, first off, I was nervous. What did you think when they decided to go for 2? Like, were you thinking, oh, no, why? Or were you thinking, yes, no, that's the right choice?
I thought, hey, it's all or nothing at this point. I was excited that they went for it. And talking about that, what a freaking play.
Oh, yeah, and it was so, like, the play was simple.
Wide open.
Yeah, the play was simple, but you saw how they drug Stephon Robinson, and they had 3 defenders that followed one guy. And then Charlotte just sneaks in the back there, and he's just standing there. Nobody around him. I mean, you're like at the 2-yard line. So, I mean, the defense is going to be pretty packed in. And for Dearman to know that 3 defenders, I'm sure he didn't, obviously he's not psychic, but he obviously knew that there was a pretty good chance that those defenders would follow Stephon Robinson. I think that was Stephon Robinson. Off there, he did like a short out route there. And it just left Charlotte wide open, man. I mean, just unbelievable play. It just, yeah.
Yeah. Well, whenever we scored, I said, I'm pretty sure that I said out loud, this is going to be less miles here. And what I meant by that, if I didn't say it out loud, I at least said it in my head, because the people that were here watching it with me, which was my wife and her father, they didn't really give a damn what I said at that point. So I might have just said it in my head, but what I meant by that was that it's less miles, and he's known to take these chances. And when they scored, I knew that I didn't think Les Miles was going to go, I'm not going to give them another opportunity I'm going to take the lead, and now they got to go beat us. And that's what I thought. That's what he did. And, well, unfortunately, that's what Texas did.
Yeah.
But damn, it gave them a scare. There were a lot of people in the stands that were pretty nervous, and you could tell by the way they were all hanging out. And whenever we scored, there were a lot of nervous people in the stands, and
a lot of surrendering Cobras.
What's that?
A lot of surrendering Cobras.
Oh, 100%. There were a lot.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, but we have to start somewhere, and that's a great place to start. I mean, we've got to make these teams nervous. We're not going to win all of them in 1 year. We've got to be competitive. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing that. But okay, so if you and I talked, I'm sure it was on I'm sure that it was on a podcast too. You and I talk every day, all day, pretty much anyways, but I think we probably talked about it on a podcast as well at the beginning of the year, and we said our main goal for Kansas is competing.
Yeah.
This year. We competed the hell out of that game.
Well, we took it.
Did you feel so heartbroken and so torn down, like we just got our asses whooped after that game? Just like the feeling, not that we actually got our butts whooped, but just like the feeling, like so heartbroken and so down after it, even though we just lost by 2 to Texas on a last minute field goal.
It was a different kind of heartbreak. You know, I mean, it sucked. I mean, I will be honest. Like, you know, people say, you know, as long as we compete and we stay in the game, we have a chance to win. You still want to win. You're still going to be upset that you didn't win regardless. And you still have that heartbreak. When it's a game, if that would have been like at Baylor or something, it wouldn't have been that big a deal. It was the fact that it was at Texas, a ranked team, where we've never beat them in Austin, and there was just so much on the line, and we were so close. With a minute 11 in the game, we had the lead. So, you know, there was that heartbreak. It was a different type of heartbreak that we're not used to feeling as KU fans. So it was definitely refreshing to feel it, but it didn't make it really any better so much. I mean, they're just different levels of heartbreak.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Like, now maybe if we would have never led the game and it would have been 48-50, maybe that would have been a different feeling. But I felt like my heart just got ripped out.
Yeah, and Texas shouldn't have. I mean, that last drive was pretty hard to watch just because, again, they went 60 yards in a minute and 11 seconds, and you know, and they were so close. KU was so close. And you're sitting there thinking, you're like, well, Texas has been running the ball all game. They can't run the ball here, at least not much. You know, they're going to have to pass the ball. And, you know, sure enough, Sam Ehlinger made a couple escape maneuvers, which is what he's famous for. And, you know, KU had to take that chance of putting that extra defensive back into coverage, and to not sit up there and not have a linebacker up and watching Sam Ehlinger, because if you have one guy spying the quarterback the entire time, there's a risk that you take. There's a risk doing either one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Ehlinger he exposed us in that area, and he's good at getting out of pressure and making things happen. And I mean, if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for him being able to do that, Texas doesn't win that game. But he's good at that. As much as I want to punch his face repeatedly until it looks different, he is good at that.
Well, and then after the game, it got me thinking about, the points that we left on the field. We missed the field goal in the first quarter, and then that PAT in the fourth quarter that got returned, that 3-point swing. And there's just little points that just, I think, made it worse for me, that we should have won. We should have won that game.
Yeah. But,
now that it's Wednesday, I've calmed down a little bit. It's refreshing to see. And if we can continue to do that, if we can continue to build on this, because in the past years, we see these peaks and valleys. Our peaks are, I don't know how high they were, I guess, but our ceilings were not real high, but we would have good games. And then the next game would be at the floor. And then we'd slowly build back up, and then it would be a ceiling, and then we would drop straight back down. Like you said, we've never had 2 consecutive games like this. And I'm hoping, like, I'm trying to put everything into perspective now with, if we can put together another game like this that's up close to our, it doesn't have to be our ceiling. I think that Texas game, our offense, that was probably our ceiling for this 2019 squad. I don't know if you agree or not, but 48 points, obviously that's what we scored against BC. That's what we scored against Texas. I think that kind of bodes well for saying that's our ceiling. But even if we take one half or a half a step back from that, just being close to that level 2 games in a row is going to mean something huge to me. And that's going to be the biggest step forward it's going to be a bigger step forward than just that Texas game. Is having 2 consecutive games that are good, that we play well, and that, if we score in the 40s again or high 30s, that's going to be huge for us, and that's going to be huge for Kansas. That's going to mean a lot to me, because, like I said, 1 game is one thing. 2 games means something completely different.
Yeah, I mean, because we've had those good games with Beatty, or those breakout games, that makes you think, oh, hey, things are going to change, and then obviously they don't. So it's going to be very important that we have 2 games in a row where we're like, and this year it's been like that too. We had the game against BC. What happened since? I mean, we've just been getting pushed around. So until this Texas game, when we had that, the offensive coordinator change with Brent Dearman stepping in, and we go to Texas and almost pull off an insane victory. So this Texas Tech game is the most important game of the year so far. If we can come in and play a great game and even win, man, that's huge.
It's going to be massive. It's a 6 p.m. game. It's homecoming. We just came off a heartbreaking loss, which I don't know if I've actually, I can't remember a game in the last, let's say 10 years that I felt that type of heartbreak for a KU football game.
For me, it was the Missouri game. When Missouri was number 1 and KU was number 2. That was the last time I felt that type of heartbreak where you just...
And that was 12 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the last time that I really felt that tight, because we were we were in that game, and we had a chance to tie it. I think with a final drive. I think we were down like 8 points or something, or 7. I don't know. It the whole grasping
it didn't
helmet.
work out. Let's not go get too crazy into that, because that's just heartbreak.
Yeah,
again.
But I mean, yeah, it kind of reminded me. Obviously, that heartbreak was more than this Texas game, but still, it kind of brought up those old feelings. You're like, what the hell are these?
Yeah, it was different. It was like you said, it was a different feeling. It was a heartbreaking feeling. There's just KU did some things that during that Texas game that definitely need to be fixed. Our special teams obviously has to be fixed, and our defense. Hopefully, Texas and Oklahoma they're the best two offenses in the conference, I believe. My computer's been down all day, so I have no idea if that's actually true, but I feel like it is. And those are the last two teams that we played, but our special teams, I feel, really, really killed us. Like I said, we had a missed field goal. We had a blocked PAT that went back for 2 points. Kicked 3 kickoffs out of bounds. It's just terrible. So we're ranked 114th in special teams in the country out of what is it, 130 teams. That looking back on all of it, that hurt. So hopefully we can correct some of that for this Texas Tech game at home, for this homecoming game, and we can put 2 games together in a row.
Yeah, I mean, Brent Dearman put up 48 points without help from the defense. Or actually, he did get some help from the defense. He did get some help. Can't say that because they got an interception, they got a fumble. So the defense did help in that area. But without special teams, man, it's tough to keep that offense going when your special teams is just crap. And it's tough on the defense too. I mean, the defense, like you said, 2 kicks out of bounds, or 2 or 3. Like, why was that happening? Why was he kicking it out of bounds? Like, what was he kicking a bowling ball or something? I don't understand what he was doing. I mean, yeah, our special teams this game, it was almost like they didn't do any special teams and they focused only on the offense, which is okay. Looking at the outcome of the game, I guess, because our offense looks so good. So maybe they needed to put that focus on the offense to make sure we came out looking competent. But also at the same time, it's what killed us, the special teams, because 1 field goal and we win that game, or it puts Texas in a point in that last drive where they have to actually get a touchdown instead of a field goal. And I don't think they get the touchdown. They just wouldn't have enough time. So,
and Les Miles teams are usually very good special teams.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of really threw me off. And they probably did, like you said, they focused a lot on the offense because the offense was not good. And they had to put in so much work on the offense. Maybe they did let a couple of things lapse, but the thing with Les Miles over coaches that we've had in the last 10 years is that Les Miles can see where our deficiencies are and fix it. And he's tried, he knows how. He saw that offense wasn't good, said, well, offense isn't good. Let's bring somebody else in. And we scored 48 points. And he knows, and from his press conferences, he's not happy with that last drive, obviously. No matter what the play clock was, he's not happy with that. So there's some things on the defense that are going to be fixed. Les knows he's a good coach and he knows what to do. He's letting the offense go. He's letting it go, obviously, with this Texas game. Hopefully he does it this coming week. He knows what to focus on and what to fix, and I have faith in him, and I think that's why he's here. And I don't think you're going to see a 114th ranked special teams team this week.
Yeah, he's gonna fix the things that weren't going too well, and he knows that if those things would have been going the way they had been going, then we win that game. So, I mean, just imagine, we could have beat up on Texas because their defense had no answer for our offense whatsoever. We didn't really have an answer for their offense either. But I mean, if we had a couple answers, and we did at points, so I mean, it wasn't like our defense did nothing. They just didn't do enough. When your offense puts up 48 points, you expect to win the game every time. Simple as that. And you should. If your offense puts up 48 points, you should 100% win that game. But those things are going to be fixed. It's special teams and defense.
There was 50 points scored in the fourth quarter. 50.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. So
that's nuts. That's why I was jumping around the freaking apartment like a madman.
Yeah, because a lot happened in that fourth quarter, so it was intense. But yeah, let's move past this Texas game. Let's get on to Texas Tech. So hold on. Before this, I'm sorry. I just saw a tweet, and I'm sure by the time this podcast comes out, and we don't have to spend much time on this at all. Maybe not everybody will see it by the time this podcast comes out, but Mitch Lightfoot will not be playing exhibition games this year, and it looks like he probably will redshirt. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I saw that tweet earlier. When I think I was at the dog park or something. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I haven't been on Twitter a whole lot, but I just thought I'd toss that out there, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for the team. That's great.
It'll be good because we don't, with these violations, or whatever the NCAA thinks our violations are, whatever they're making up, whatever punishment they decide to give us, it'll be nice to have a senior leader coming back next year, that has all that experience. Because Mitch, I think next year will get to play quite a bit because we're going to lose pretty much all our bigs besides him, I feel like. So, it'll be nice to have at least one back, for sure. So, yeah, that'll definitely be good. But
I think we have several NBA players on our team right now. Which we'll get into all that. So we'll get into all that after the exhibition games, and before the Duke game, we'll get into who we think's going to the league and stuff like that. But I think it's probably a good thing for the team. I just saw it. Just wanted to toss that out there. But go ahead, Texas Tech. Sorry.
Yeah. So Texas Tech. I mean, again, this is the most important game of the year at this point because we have to put two games together. We have a good game against Texas, and now we got Texas Tech, a team that is viewed to be, or really is, even on the stat sheet, one of the lower teams in the Big 12. So if we're going to get a win in the Big 12, this is going to be our best bet. It's a great time to do it, to give us that momentum, or to continue this momentum coming from the Texas game. Texas Tech, their offense they have their backup quarterback in. He's okay. He's not Alan Bowman, who was Texas Tech's original quarterback. That guy's he can sling it all over the place. So that'll be, kind of a good a plus for us. Texas Tech defense, they're okay. I wouldn't say they're any better than Texas's defense. So really, on paper, this is definitely an easier matchup than Texas, especially going at Texas. So if you want to look and say that if KU puts together the same performance they did against Texas, they should win this game, and even by a touchdown or two. So I know it's saying a lot. We don't want to get too confident, but what are your thoughts on this game? What are you thinking?
Well, like you just said, I think that if we play close to the way that we played Texas, I think it's going to be a good game. I think that these teams are a little bit closer than maybe we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year. Maybe Texas Tech is a little bit better than what we thought a couple weeks in after their starting quarterback went down. But I looked up a couple of things here. KU offense is ranked 84th. Tech's defense is 75th. Tech's offense is 59th, and Kansas' defense is 106. So I really do think that this is going to be a pretty close game. I know that a lot of these a lot of those stats are changing now just because, we are in the middle of the Big 12 season, and you're going to see a lot of those things change. But I have said all year that I think that, well, I don't know if I said all year. The last 4 or 5 podcasts, I guess, I've said that I think that Kansas is going to beat Texas Tech. I do still think that. And I do think that Kansas puts 2 games together in a row, something they haven't done in the last 10 years. And they come out and they smack them in the mouth real quick. And I hope that's the case, but I really, really do think that with this new offense, this new kind of swagger that maybe they might have gotten from that Texas win, maybe that bitter taste in their mouth, will make them come out and play well.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to definitely be hungry for sure. And this team, they have a swagger about them, and especially that offense, man, they were confident, dude. It was weird to see. It was like they had been like that all year. They came out just so confident and so just level-headed. And obviously it didn't go as smooth the first couple drives, but they didn't give up. They were down 14-3 or 14-0 at that point. Had missed a field goal, and then they get a chance to kick a field goal. They kick the field goal. They make it that time. And it wasn't an easy one. I think it was like 40-plus yards. So you're thinking, man, this could really go south because we don't have an answer for stopping Texas. The defense steps up a couple times, and then the offense just comes out looking like – and it's different than that Rutgers game, when KU beat up on Rutgers. That was just kind of like accidental. The offense really didn't look that great. It was just Puka just ran everywhere on them. Rutgers was just that bad. But, this offense it's just there's something different. It's that swagger, that toughness. Carter Stanley looks like a completely different quarterback. He looks like a guy that should have been starting from his freshman year. And he probably should have if he would have had the right coaching staff. So he's turning into a quarterback that we're going to miss, that we're going to be sad about losing because we're going to have to replace him. But yeah, this Tech game, if we can bring that same swagger on offense, it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be another high-scoring game on both ends. And I think it's going to be close either way. I still can't pick Kansas to win because, again, going back to we haven't played 2 games in a row, 2 good games in a row. So it's just hard to give us that when we haven't done that in a decade. So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. As far as keys to the game, what do you think Kansas has to do on offense and defense, just kind of together? What do you think the main keys for the game are in order for us to pull off an upset?
Well, I think the biggest key of the game is not to get, and this is key of the game, I don't know, a couple weeks ago for me as well, and I still believe it because it's still happening. Not to get out to a 0-14 deficit.
Yeah.
That's huge. I mean, if we wouldn't have done that, if we would have scored on one of our first 2 drives, it would have been completely different because Texas, I believe they marched right down the field and scored 14 points. That is huge. We have to score on one of our first 2 drives. We can't keep playing down 14. I mean, we're at this point we're giving up 14 points and then we're playing 3 quarters. That's a huge thing that's killing us. And for defense, I think it's we have to tackle. There's so many missed tackles And I feel like I'm talking about the Chiefs right now, to be honest with you, other than that Broncos game. But there's so many missed tackles. We need the first defensive player to hit whatever offensive player it is needs to make that tackle, not the fifth. And I feel like that's what has happened a lot. And it happened during the Texas game. And if we would have made those tackles, it happened a lot in that Oklahoma game. There were a lot of missed tackles. The tackling was better in the Texas game, but we still need to be improving. But those are two huge things. And then side note, we can't kick the freaking ball out of bounds. If we're going to score 48 points, we can't kick 3 of those out of bounds afterwards. We can't give them that yardage. That's huge. That's massive. And Texas Tech, they can score. They can score points too. We can't just let them go from the 35 to 40 yard line. That's giving up way too much field position.
Yeah. I think special teams is a big one in this one. Special teams alone, if it plays to their capabilities, we win the Texas game. So I think that's a huge thing this game, to make sure that's shored up, from punting the ball to field goals, extra points. I mean, everything on special teams was just not great. If those things get taken care of, so we take advantage of field position. When you're kicking the ball off, you're not kicking out of bounds, giving the other team an extra 15 yards or so. That's huge, and that's tough on the defense to have to deal with that. Especially when they're getting beat up all game. You don't want to make it worse on them. So, yeah, those things have to be shored up. Offense just has to keep doing what it's doing, build on what it did last game. Defense, they're going to have to tighten up on that run game, on the run defense. So, I don't know how they're going to do it. I'm not a defensive expert, but some way, somehow, they have to stop the run, because Big 12 teams are going to come in and just keep doing it against us. TCU did it. Texas did it. Oklahoma, they just passed all over us. I mean, it's just because it's Oklahoma. Their offense is so insane. There's just nothing you can do about it. But, yeah, we have to figure that out.
I think that at the first podcast of the year, our season preview that we did, I think you talked about Gavin Potter. He had a hell of a game.
Yeah, he was on my newcomers that they would play, and I wasn't sure if he would play just yet. I mean, that position obviously put a chance out there that he would play because it's pretty thin. But I'm really surprised we haven't really heard a whole lot from Stephen Parker. Has he really played much? Is he? I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just not paying attention as much.
Seen his name. I haven't seen his name much. Obviously, like I said, my computer is out, so I can't look him up. But he's not done enough for me to recognize him. But I recognized, and I saw Potter this game. He played his ass off.
Yeah, he played great, and we're going to need that, And with Drew Prox being out, he was our main, our middle linebacker. Basically the quarterback of the defense, and he's likely out for the year. So that's a huge role for Gavin Potter to fill. And he's done fantastic at it. Looks like a natural, like he's been doing it for years. So that's huge for us. He has to keep that up. But yeah, overall, got to stop the run. I think we want teams to pass on us because we have all that talent in the defensive backfield. So if we can get the teams to pass, then I think that's going to set us up for success on the defensive end and just overall as a team. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. But we do have the advantage. We have not played well at home this year, which has been really weird. Usually it's the opposite for every team. Especially for KU, you play better at home than you do on the road. Kansas has played bad at home in the past and then worse on the road, which is not what you want. This year, we've played bad at home, mostly bad on the road, but then we've had 2 games where we've just been out of our minds. So we have to bring that to a home game. And I think if we do bring that to a home game, obviously it's going to be a completely different atmosphere. But what are your thoughts on that? Us not playing good home field advantage.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of odd to me. I think I don't know. I think some of it has to do with just maybe Les didn't know what he had going on at that point. You know, we did lose to Coastal Carolina. If we would have had Britt Dearman at the beginning of the year, and I know that he probably wasn't ready, which I'm fine with that. That's fine. But we would have smoked Coastal Carolina. We would have, they might have had 7 points total. We would have smoked them. I think that he was just getting everything going, trying to figure out what he had here and what he had there and what coaches are what and things like that. But it is a little disturbing, but at this point, this is a different team than what we had for the majority of the first 6 games. And I do credit most of that to Brent Dearman. And I think that Les Miles, he's smart enough to know that. And I think it's going to be different this game. I really do. I don't really know why that's the case, especially whenever West Virginia, we had the biggest crowd we had since 2012 or something crazy like that. So he wants to win. Les Miles knows the importance to win, and he's gonna let it fly. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be different this game. I have faith. I'm on board. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. I think it'll be different too. That it was disappointing to come off that BC win to come and play West Virginia, and the offense looked like just a bad offense, the bad offense that we were used to seeing. So this game won't be like that. We have Brent Dearman. He was the one that had his fingerprints all over the BC game. He didn't have his fingerprints on the West Virginia game, and we noticed that. This is different because he is the offensive coordinator now, so it will be different. Offense I'm confident it's still going to look good. The defense is going to have to step up. Special teams especially is going to have to step up. And I think those things will happen. But speaking of that, let's get into predictions here. This is always tough. I'm going to have you do yours first. I'm not sure mine's going to be a favorite.
You already said you're not picking KU to win.
Yeah.
I'm picking KU 42-33. I'm standing by it.
Yeah.
I think that they play two games in a row, like I just said. I think Dearman is who he is. I think that Stanley's who he is now. I think he's the player that we saw last week because he has a coaching staff that believes in him and that is behind him. And I think that is everything for a quarterback. It's just like a point guard in basketball. It's just, when you have a coach and a coaching staff behind you, it makes you a different person.
Yeah.
He knows that. He knows that if he goes out there and he throws the ball to these receivers, that obviously, they showed it on SportsCenter's top 10, number 1, that they'll go get it. So I say 42-33 KU, and we leave this homecoming weekend happy.
Good deal. Well, I hope you're right. And I hope I'm wrong. So, I don't get me wrong. I feel like we should win this game. It's just tough for a team that has been losing for a decade to get them to start winning. It's a whole different culture. Most of these guys on the team have lost so many games in their college careers. It's not fair. But when you set that, when that's what they're used to, it's hard to change that. It's hard to win. It's more than just going out and preparing. There's a culture, there's a mentality to it. So I think until KU gets over that hump, it's going to be hard for me to predict them to win these games. Which is why I have Texas Tech winning 38 to 32. So I just think at this point, like I said, I do feel like we should win this game, but I think what's really going to happen is that whole mentality is going to kind of come into play, where it's just going to be Kansas not facing Texas Tech, but up against themselves to get over that hump. And I think they're just going to fall a little bit short. And again, if we win, I'll eat crow, and I'll love it every bit of it. But until Kansas can put together 2 good games in a row, it's just kind of where I'm at this point. So, but again, things are moving forward. So if that was the ending score, I'd be disappointed that we didn't win, but at least we're competing. That, at the end of the day, is what we're looking for this year, is to compete. So having said all that, anything else you want to add about this game, about the Texas game, about the border war, anything like that, anything we've talked about tonight?
I don't have anything to add about what we talked about tonight, but I have some updated record books rankings. If we would like to hear those real quick.
Yeah, let's go.
There's not too many, but first off, Carter Stanley is moving up, which is fantastic. Carter Stanley is now ranked 8th in career passing yards with 3,856. Carter Stanley for the season, he's still down, but if he keeps the season average this year, which is 212 yards, he's going to move up to 6th in single season passing yards. Career touchdowns, he is currently tied for 4th with 29. If he keeps up his season average, he's going to move up to number 2 behind you know who. And because he'll never catch him, because I looked it up, he has to average 12 passing touchdowns for the year to beat Todd Reesing.
Yes.
I don't think if he had 12 passing touchdowns a game, I think we should win. That's just me. But
I would hope so.
Single season passing touchdowns, Carter Stanley's up to 5th. If he keeps up his average, he will move up to 3rd, and he will beat the 2009 Todd Reesing.
Todd Reesing's on that
and
list.
then we have Puka Williams. He hasn't moved up in the rankings yet, but he is getting very, very close. His career, the number 10 rushing yards is 2,245, and he's at 1,760. So there's a good chance he already moves up in his second year for rushing yards. And then single season, he is 490 away from being tied with 8 for single season rushing yards, which would actually be tied with himself. But yeah, those are the main ones. Andrew Parchment, if he keeps kind of going, he's gonna be in the single season record books with touchdowns. He's at 5. Steven Sims and a whole bunch of other people along with Desmond Briscoe are tied for 8 with 7, and Parchment's at 5. So they're moving on up. It's a good offensive year, and we keep improving. We still have 5 games left, so look forward to those numbers going up.
Yeah, and the only defense we're going to face that's going to give us really any issues. Maybe K-State, but K-State, I feel like they give up a lot of rush yards. Their pass defense has been pretty solid, I think. So I think we could expose that with Puka. We have the best running back in the conference. I feel like anyway. And then Iowa State. They're always a really tough defense, but they've still been susceptible to give up some points too. So we'll see. But I mean, either way, very promising. Offense is taking a turn. It's going to be exciting, this finish. So get to the game and definitely get to the booth. It's homecoming weekend. We have a chance to win. This could be huge. And if we do win, guess who we have next? K-State. That'll be huge as well. So it'd be nice to get 2 wins in a row. How about that? That'd be crazy. But yeah, so.
Yeah. I think we can, I honestly think we can do it.
Yeah.
I don't see that there's, I don't see, the only loss that I really see right now is Baylor. 100%. And I'm sorry that people think differently, but that's that's the only loss that I really see is Baylor coming up. I see no reason why we can't win 4 of the next 5 games.
Yeah. I've watched Baylor a couple times this year and they've been on the right side of these games. So I'm not sure. I mean, they're good. They're obviously good because they're 7-0 now. So I mean, they're obviously good, but I think they've also just been on the right side, and they haven't played Texas yet. They haven't played Oklahoma. I don't think they did play Iowa State. They beat Iowa State, I think, by 1 point. So they're, I don't know. I'm more concerned about Iowa State, honestly, than I am Baylor. So
we play them at Ames.
Yeah, so and we have Baylor at home, I believe, right? Or are we at Baylor?
Yeah, we have Baylor at home. That's our last game of the year, and let's start back in the booth and showing teams that they've got to worry about our crowd a little bit. I know it's nothing compared to what a Baylor home crowd is, but
yeah,
we've got to pack it. We've got to show our support there, and man, we have 5 games left.
Yeah, we could finish
4 games to bowl eligible.
Yep.
Let's do it. Let's go 4-1 at the end and keep it going.
Yep, absolutely. I agree. Yep. Well, I don't have anything else to add here. I will tell you to make sure you're following both of us on Twitter, and Ryne has a Facebook for us as well. You can follow me on Twitter if you're not already, The Fitz KU, and Ryne, go ahead and give him your info.
Yeah, follow me Twitter, Hawk_Jock, Facebook, Hawk Jock KU, and we'll be out in lot 52 at about 11:30 on Saturday. Come by, swing by, hang out. We got bags. We'll have music, maybe a TV. Don't know yet. Still working on it, but go on by.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you listening, and look forward to hopefully seeing some of you guys at the Tech game. And you guys have a wonderful night, and rock chalk.